Welcome to the Deep Dive. Are we alone in the universe? That's what we're going to try to figure out today.
It's a big question.
It is. And you know what? Our listeners sent us a ton of material to help us dive into this.
Yeah, we've got articles, research papers, even some official
A
reports.
whole stack of stuff. So we're going to sift through it all and see if we can make sense of it all.
Exactly. We'll try to figure out what's really important, what's really interesting.
And most importantly, what it all means. So where should we start? Oh, I know. You know that NASA report from 2021?
Yeah.
It talks about how scientists have found thousands of planets outside of our solar system.
Exoplanets?
Right, exoplanets. And get this, a lot of them are in what they call the habitable zone,
Meaning?
meaning they could have liquid water. And we all know water is like essential for life as we know it.
Makes sense. And speaking of life, you included that article about extremophiles, right?
Oh yeah, those are the organisms that live in crazy places here on Earth, like super hot volcanic vents or freezing cold ocean depths.
Exactly. So if life can exist in those extreme environments, who's to say it can't exist elsewhere in the universe?
Right. It really opens up the possibilities. But let's not forget about intelligent life. You know, like aliens.
Oh, yes. SETI.
SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It's so cool. They're using these massive telescopes to look for signals from space, right?
Exactly, like radio signals.
Imagine if they actually find a signal. It would be like, wow, someone's out there trying to talk to us.
It would be incredible. And, scientists aren't just listening for signals.
Oh, right. They're looking for other signs of life, too. What were those called again? Bio something?
Biosignatures.
Yes, biosignatures. You highlighted that in one of the research articles you sent.
Yeah, it's like, imagine you're walking by a bakery and you smell that fresh bread.
Bread.
That smell is a sign that someone's baking inside, right? Well, biosignatures are kind of like that.
They're like clues.
Exactly, clues that might tell us if there's something alive on another planet.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we've talked about the search for life beyond Earth, but what about those things we see in the sky? The UAPs.
Ah, yes, unidentified aerial phenomena.
You even marked a section in a book by J. Allen Hynek from 1972 about Project Blue Book.
Right, that was an actual government investigation into UFO sightings.
And get this, they couldn't explain all of them.
Some cases just remained a mystery.
Spooky. And it's not just old news either. You flagged that recent report from the ODNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
Right, and they basically admitted that some of these UAP sightings still don't have easy answers.
I mean, sure, some of them might be airplanes or weather balloons or whatever.
Some of them are just, well, unexplained.
It's pretty wild. You know, it's interesting you sent information about that GEPAN program in France. They've been investigating UAPs for ages.
Yeah, and they even have a website where you can read their reports.
Super cool. Okay, but let's be real for a second. All this talk about unexplained things in the sky. It's hard not to think about conspiracy theories. You know, like aliens crashing at Roswell in 1947 and the government covering it all up.
Roswell. It's a classic.
It is. But, as fascinating as these theories are, we have to be careful, right?
Absolutely. We need to look at the evidence. And remember, just because a story is exciting, it doesn't mean it's true.
That's a good point. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Exactly. But let's say, just for a moment, that we did find proof of alien life. What then?
It would be huge. You included some really thought-provoking articles about the impact of such a discovery.
It would change everything. Our understanding of the universe, our place in it, everything.
We'd have to rethink a lot of things.
Absolutely. It would be a completely new chapter in human history. So imagine we actually find alien life.
Whoa, hold on a sec. What kind of alien life are we talking about here? Like tiny little microbes on Mars? Or like super intelligent beings from another galaxy?
Either ways, it would be mind-blowing, wouldn't it?
Totally. It would change everything. You included that paper from 2014 about the Curiosity rover on Mars.
Yeah.
What if it actually finds signs of past life?
That would be amazing. It would mean that life existed, or maybe still exists, somewhere else in our solar system.
Right? It would be like, whoa, we're not alone after all.
Exactly. And it would make us wonder, right? Like, how common is life in the universe?
That's a big question. It really makes you think. And speaking of other places in our solar system where life could exist, you sent those articles about Europa and Enceladus.
Yes, the icy moons.
Right. Jupiter's moon, Europa, Saturn's moon, Enceladus, they have these massive oceans of water under their icy surfaces.
And scientists think those oceans could have the right ingredients for life.
Imagine that. Alien creatures swimming around in those oceans.
It's incredible to think about, right?
It is. It really is. But let's bring it back down to Earth for a second. I mean, scientists are working hard to find evidence of life out there, but it's not easy.
No, it's not. But they're developing new technologies all the time. Like, remember those new telescopes we talked about?
Oh, yeah. The ones that can analyze the air on other planets?
Exactly. They're looking for gases that might be produced by living organisms. It's like, remember that bakery analogy?
The smell of fresh bread?
Yeah, it's like they're sniffing out the atmospheres of those planets, looking for signs of life.
Like a cosmic bread-sniffing mission.
You could say that. And the James Webb Space Telescope is already sending back incredible data.
No way. So we're already getting closer to finding out.
We are, and there have already been some interesting discoveries. Remember that planet with the strange atmosphere?
Oh, yeah. What was it? A warm Neptune-like planet.
That's right. Its atmosphere had chemicals that scientists didn't expect. It's making them rethink where life could exist.
So basically, we're constantly learning new things, and it's changing our understanding of the universe?
Absolutely. It's what makes this whole field so exciting.
Totally agree. Okay, so we got all this cool stuff happening with the search for life beyond Earth, but what about those UAPs? Are we any closer to figuring those out?
Well, the good news is that the government is taking them more seriously now. Pilots are being trained to report sightings in detail, and they're using advanced technology to gather data.
So no more just brushing them off as weather balloons?
Not anymore. They're using radar, infrared cameras, all sorts of stuff.
That sounds much more scientific.
It is. And this new data is revealing some pretty wild things. Some reports talk about objects moving at crazy speeds and making turns that seem impossible.
Whoa, hold on. Are we talking alien spaceships here?
Now, hold on. We need to be careful. Just because something looks strange, it doesn't automatically mean it's from another planet. There could be other explanations.
Like what?
Well, it could be advanced technology from another country, something top secret that we don't know about. Or maybe it's a natural phenomenon that we don't understand yet.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like we're trying to solve a puzzle, but we only have a few pieces.
Exactly. And we might be missing some key pieces, so it's important to keep an open mind, but also be critical.
Don't jump to conclusions, basically.
Exactly. We need solid evidence before we can say anything for sure.
So how can we approach this topic without getting lost in all the conspiracy theories and misinformation out there?
I think the key is to stick with the science. Read reports from reliable sources, like scientific journals and government agencies, and follow the work of scientists and researchers who are actually studying these phenomena.
Basically, don't just believe everything you see on the internet.
Pretty much. It's like anything else. You need to be a critical thinker. Don't just blindly accept information. Ask questions. Do your own research.
Be a skeptic, but also be open-minded. It's a tough balance.
It is, but it's also what makes this whole topic so fascinating. It's full of mysteries and possibilities.
It really is. Now, before we move on, there's something I've been wondering about. The ethics of all this. Like, what if we do find evidence of extraterrestrial life? Or encounter some advanced alien technology? Should we be worried?
That's a really important question, and it's one that scientists and philosophers are already thinking about.
I bet it would raise all sorts of ethical dilemmas, like how do we interact with these other beings? Do we try to kayak them, or do we just observe from afar?
Those are tough questions, and there are no easy answers. But I think the most important thing is to proceed with caution and respect.
Respect for who? For the aliens?
Yes, for any other life forms we might encounter. And for the universe itself, we need to remember that we're not the only ones out there. And our actions could have consequences that we don't fully understand.
That's a pretty profound thought. It's like we're venturing into uncharted territory. We need a map, but we don't even know what the terrain looks like.
That's a great analogy, and I think that's why it's so crucial to have these conversations now. Before we're actually faced with these challenges, we need to start thinking about these ethical issues and developing guidelines for how we'll approach them.
So what can we do as individuals? How can we contribute to this exploration responsibly?
Well, I think the first step is to stay informed. Read about the latest scientific discoveries, learn about the ethical debates surrounding these issues, and don't just rely on those clickbait headlines. Seek out reliable sources of information and talk to people, have discussions, share your thoughts, and listen to different perspectives.
Like this is a journey we need to take together, not just as scientists or governments, but as a global community.
Exactly. We need to approach this with a sense of shared responsibility and wonder. And remember, the universe is full of mysteries, and that's what makes it so exciting to explore.
So we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the question, are we alone?
We've talked about so much, haven't we?
We have. Alien life, UAPs, the whole shebang. But before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned a few times. Critical thinking.
Oh, yeah, that's super important.
It is, especially with all this talk of aliens and UFOs and stuff.
It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement and start believing everything you hear.
Right, but we have to be careful, right? Not everything is true, no matter how convincing it sounds.
Exactly. Just because someone says something or posts a picture or video online, it doesn't mean it's automatically true.
It's like, how do we know what to believe? How can we be better critical thinkers?
Well, first of all, pay attention to the source of the information. Is it coming from a reliable place, like a scientific journal, a reputable news organization, or a government agency?
So basically, don't just blindly trust random stuff you see on social media.
Pretty much. And even then, you still have to be cautious. Look for evidence. Ask questions. Don't just take someone's word for it.
And what about all those photos and videos of UFOs? Some of them look pretty real.
Yeah, but technology has gotten so good that it's easy to fake things these days.
So just because we see something with our own eyes doesn't mean it's real.
Exactly. We have to go deeper. Where did this photo come from? Who took it? Is there any way to verify it?
It's like being a detective. We have to look for clues and try to figure out if it all adds up.
Exactly. But sometimes, even with all the critical thinking in the world, we still might not have enough information to reach a conclusion.
Right. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but you're missing some pieces.
And that's okay. We don't have all the answers. Not yet, anyway.
So where does that leave us? I mean, after all this discussion about extraterrestrial life and UAPs and all that, do you think we're alone in the universe?
It's funny, but even after diving deep into all this research, I still don't have a definitive answer.
Me neither.
And I don't think anyone really does. The evidence is still out there. We're still searching.
But that's kind of exciting, isn't it? The mystery of it all.
It is. The search itself is incredibly valuable, even if we don't find definitive proof of alien life right away.
I think I get what you mean. It's like even if we don't find what we're looking for, we're still learning so much along the way.
Exactly. We're discovering new planets, new possibilities, new ways of thinking about the universe.
It's like we're expanding our horizons, pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole field so fascinating. It's a journey of discovery. It's about asking big questions and being open to the possibility that we might not like the answers or even get them at all.
Wow. That's a deep thought. I like it.
It's important to remember that we're not the center of the universe. There's so much out there that we don't understand.
That's both humbling and kind of terrifying, isn't it?
It is, but it's also what makes life so interesting.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. The universe is full of mysteries, and we're just beginning to scratch the surface.
Keep looking up at the stars.
Keep asking questions.
And never stop wondering.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and a big thank you to our listener for sending us all these thought-provoking materials. We had a blast exploring this with you.
It was my pleasure. Until next time.